Feedback, they say, is a gift. Sometimes you've had feedback and you've wanted to say, keep the receipt. My name's Graham David, and I'm going to share with you two really simple techniques for giving better quality feedback that is fairer to your colleague and frankly allows you a little bit more breathing space. Now, I don't know about you, but often people have to give feedback to 10, 15, 20 direct reports. And this is a big ask, particularly if it's a regular thing that is required. So I've got a couple of techniques for you which will allow you to have the opportunity to step back slightly from this process. Doesn't mean you lose all responsibility. You've still got to be involved actively in the feedback process. But this is two great ways that I've found that your colleagues often respond very, very well to this way of giving feedback. So let me share these two with you. The first is called show and tell. And it's really simple. So what you're going to do is to take a piece of evidence. Now the evidence could be something like a photograph of the site or the office. It could be a photograph of a piece of work they've completed. Could be a report back from the business or from a customer. It could be a customer review. It could be something you've just observed. It could be a report that's been generated by an external business. It could be a range of different things. So you're going to show that piece of evidence, hence show. And you're simply going to put that in front of your colleague and say, right, take a look at this and tell me what you notice. That's it. Now, what this then means is that you, as the manager, respectfully, have to stay quiet. You have to allow your colleague to pick through and find what it is that they notice. There's a few interesting outcomes. The first is whether you're looking at this piece of evidence from a good perspective, as in you're delighted with it, or whether in fact there's something that you need to see improved. Both of these will work with show and tell. Because when I say to you, take a look at this and tell me what you notice, you're going to pick up both good and maybe some development areas that we want to look at as we go forward. It's also really powerful because, as I said, if you've got perhaps 10 direct reports, it would be quite easy for you to miss some of the pertinent points that you ought to be feeding back to your colleagues. But the person themselves isn't going to miss it. So they're often going to say, oh yeah, I can see what you're talking about here. And it's something you didn't even notice. Frequently, the person you're talking to is going to be a little bit more harsh on themselves. Now, I don't mean that horribly. I don't mean that as a power kick, but they frequently are. And if they're speaking to you as their manager, they're going to want to show you that they've noticed all of the stuff they should or could or would have done better. And they're going to give you some reasons about that. But likewise, it works the other way, as I said. So it's a great way to start to reset. Feedback shouldn't always be just the bad stuff. Why don't we start to make this a little bit more unpredictable? Why don't we start to interrupt the pattern? So if you want to have a quiet word with one of your managers, they don't straight away go, oh no, what have I done? It might just as easily be, oh right, okay, where are we going with this? So there's no reason why we can't use show and tell for both good and development areas. It's a very powerful tool. It's really, really good, and it's very respectful to your colleague. Take a look at this, tell me what you notice. Sometimes people are concerned, what if my colleague doesn't pick up the bit that I want them to pick up? That's okay. You let them tell you everything they've noticed. You then talk about something else that's there. So it's strong, it's respectful, and of course it's all evidence-based, because the conversation that both of you are having is about this piece of evidence that's in front of you, whatever the evidence is. You're not having to go on, I just think, or I have a hunch, or my many years of experience, because then we end up with potentially a bit of conflict. I think this, you think something else. We've got to try and figure out who's right. And if I'm the manager, it's going to be me, right? But instead, we focus on the evidence. Let's look at this. Let's talk about this. So that's show and tell. It's really simple. I thoroughly recommend it. There's a different version you can use as well, which is called compare and contrast. And a little bit like show and tell, it's based on evidence. And also like show and tell, you can use it for both good and not so good. There is a couple of differences though in its key setup. So mainly what we're looking for is where there has been a change in output. So maybe this was 3 months ago, and maybe this is now. I don't know what your timescales are. This could be 3 days ago and this could be now. This could be 3 hours ago and this could be now. It depends on the kind of timescale you work with. But what we're looking for is whether there's been a change in output. How much, how often, how well, how profitable. It could be anything, but we're looking to see whether there's been a change over a period of time. And we start with a similar introduction as show and tell. Take a look at these two pieces of work. Again, these could be spreadsheets, printouts, reports, external reports, customer reviews, anything at all. This is what you were doing 3 months ago. This is where you are now. Take a look at these two and tell me what you notice about the difference. They're going to say, well, yeah, this one's way better, or this one I'm not doing quite as much. In other words, you're going to start to see, but again, they are going to tell you what the difference is. Now, whether this is for a good or a not so good change, you've got a great process now, because they're going to tell you these are all the differences. You go, great, all right, so what changed? Now, if it's something good, they're going to go, well, I've started doing this, or I stopped doing that, or I've got so-and-so involved, which then allows you, as the manager, to go, fantastic, really delighted. And if appropriate, you can say to them, keep doing it. I'm really, really pleased. Also, if appropriate, you can take that change that your colleague has established and share it as best practice with other people in your team. You can give your colleague extra credit for this because they've invented this, or they've designed this, or they've stumbled upon this. So why not share that credit with them? Or, of course, it could be a change. It could be a change for the worse. They were doing this, but now they're doing this. So again, it's the same question. What's changed? And your colleague's going to say, well, I'm now finding this difficult, or I'm one person down, or the new system hasn't arrived, or whatever it's going to be. They're going to give you some reasons why there's a change and a lowering in performance from here to here, which then allows you to go, great. So what do we need to do to get back to where we were performing? Because clearly we were able to do this. And it allows you, with your colleague, to help figure out what the next steps are to get improvement back to where we used to be. So that's it, really simple. Love both of these, show and tell and compare and contrast. They're very respectful to your colleague. They allow your colleague to drive a lot of the conversation and to lead on most of the suggestions and the proposals for how we improve things and how we make things better. But they also allow you as the manager to input your experience and your expertise where there's anything missed. So, hope that helps. Look forward to catching up with you soon.